we're going to jump into it because it's my favorite time of the year. It's October, so that means that it's a month away from my birthday, and also it's almost Halloween. So I love my horror. I've been a horror movie reviewer for about 25 years for a couple of different websites. And out of my love of horror movies, I also love soundtracks. Now, there's an amazing company in the US called Waxwork who do stunning soundtracks of horror movies and stuff like that. I think they're just releasing the soundtrack to Beetlejuice on vinyl. But one of the things that they also do that not many people know what they do is they also have a comic series.
Oh.
Now, being a horror guy, I love stuff like Tales from the Crypt and Vampirella and Eerie and Creepy and all that sort of stuff. And this is their version of that sort of thing. So House of Waxwork is hosted by the director. And this one has two stories in it. One's called Occult Slumber Party, and the other one is The Lighthouse. Occult Slumber Party is about a board game. It's kind of like a horror version of Jumanji, where they play the game and they're sucked into like a haunted house where there's a whole pile of sort of traditional universal monsters that are after them. And The Lighthouse is your standard sort of, it starts off as your standard sort of a guy getting away from the world, and he needs to go and work somewhere where he's away from mankind. And so he goes and gets a job at a lighthouse so he can be by himself, only to find that the lighthouse was haunted. And then there's a twist, and then there's a twist, and then there's a twist. There's a lot of twists in the story. It's decent sort of indie art. Two different artists per issue.
It's cool.
But the stories are okay. You know, they're that sort of the last page is a sort of a take that sort of thing, like all of those sorts of things. But the cool thing about House of Waxwork is that because Waxwork, the record company, brings it out, it comes with a soundtrack. So this is I think it's a 33 RPM single. It has the House of Waxwork theme. It's got the Occult Slumber Party soundtrack and the Lighthouse Keeper soundtrack. So good old-fashioned, old school. And because it's Waxwork, they love to release it on silly coloured vinyl. So yeah, I think they've only done 2 or 3 issues. They're pretty cool. They unfortunately, I mean, because they come with a single, they're $14.95 American. So that translates to like $40 Australian, and then it's going to cost you $20 in shipping. So they are a hefty investment, but they're such an unusual curio that I think that they're worthwhile getting. I don't know if they'll ever be worth money. So if you're a speculator, I don't know if this is the thing you go for. But just the fact that it's a comic with a soundtrack, I think that makes it for something a little bit unique. It was when I was looking for something to review for tonight, I was like, what sort of Halloweeny stuff can I do? And this sort of nailed it. I'd been doing housework and listening to soundtracks, and it was like, okay, then House of Waxwork's where we're going. So that is my pick. It's definitely it's a lot of money, but it's definitely worth it.
That's really cool. I haven't seen a book released with a soundtrack before. I was aware of Waxworks because I've got a few of their records in my personal collection, but yeah, I actually hadn't been keeping up with them to know that. Like I'd heard inklings about them getting into comics, but I didn't know they'd actually launched anything yet. So that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, so they've got their T-shirts and stuff like that, and their soundtracks are still going off, and they still do their yearly subscription. It's about $400 Australian, but you get a copy of every record that comes out for the year and a bonus one as well. And they only do, I think, 1,000 subscriptions a year. But their stuff's quality. I don't even know who did the soundtrack. So the Lighthouse Keeper is performed by Creeper. Composed and performed by Creeper, and somebody called Douglas Pipes did the other one. But yeah, it's an interesting way to read a comic to actually have a soundtrack to go with it. But yeah, the tracks aren't very long, and honestly, they're probably about the length of time that it takes to read, like an anthology story length. So, but yeah, it's a bit of fun. So, and it comes with a digital download of the soundtrack too, if you want to whack it on whatever service you've got. So yeah,
Cool.
that's my read for the week.
Nice,
awesome.
Nice.
Cool.